It was planted in 2001. This is the Old Mill Vineyard. So kind of an older style planting, a little higher fruiting wire, about 32-inch fruiting wire. The vines are all grafted to Dijon selections. It's in kind of a forest in a lot of ways, so the fruit tends to be really elegant and light and pretty, lots of floral notes, that sort of thing, and it's a component to our Russian River Cuvée. So really a training ground for our crew. We kind of start here, so it's kind of the most manicured, one of the more manicured vineyards that we have. So,
great.
And we can taste the 05 today if you would like.
That'd be great.
Which was 100% from this site, so it kind of gives
wonderful.
you a perspective of what the vineyard can do. From that fir tree there back to this oak tree is really very shaded, so so these vines really are more for looks than they are for fruit production. And it's a pretty light crop. We got rainfall during bloom, and in this vineyard we had a lot of shatter, a lot of clusters that are just kind of partially developed, a lot of missing berries in the cluster. So we're kind of out. This is when we're doing our crop estimating, and I've estimated about 1 ton from this vineyard this year. Very light. And another practice we're doing at this time of the year is lateral removal, which you can see this area here is just a little too shaded or too protected from the sun. So we're going through and we're removing any leaves, any excess coverage, some shoots that have developed later in the season, and not really primary leaves, but more looking for those laterals that are going to be shading. And just a tiny bit of work can make such a tremendous difference to the amount of sunlight that gets in. So that's really the task for this time of year. The next task will be fruit thinning and evening out the ripening as we get into veraison. So we had a lot of vigor this year with all the rain we had in June. So we've got, I would say, a stronger lateral push than we typically would. But we're seeing the vines, we didn't cultivate, we didn't mow until very late, so all of these things helping kind of balance out the vigor. Our internode lengths are a really good indicator, and some of these are a little longer than we'd like, but the bottom half we've got 2.5, 3 inches. So for the most part we're looking pretty good in comparison to many with vigor, because of not cultivating, leaving a cover crop, really using our viticultural tools to kind of balance out what Mother Nature was giving us this year.
Notice this is fairly stony, rocky soil.
The reason we call the vineyard Old Mill is because it was part of a lumber mill which is just down the hill, and this was a lumber drying yard, so it was actually rocked over about 1.5 foot deep of rock.
Wow.
And what the vines are growing in is really subsoil. We scraped all of that rock off and made a road over on the side, and the remaining rock is part of it. So it's not native rock, but this was a slope coming across here, and they came through with a bulldozer and leveled it all out. So we've had to really work with biodynamic preparations as well as compost and so forth to kind of bring some life back to a fairly inert soil, being that the bulldozer pushed all the topsoil off the bank over there. So just this year, we're getting to where typically we would already be irrigating a modified irrigation set. You'll see we've got 2 hoses here. One has an emitter at every vine, and the other one has emitters just at weaker vines. And we haven't even had to use that this year. Typically we would be running it twice a week for those really weak vines at this point, which is only about 10% of the vines in the vineyard. So essentially we're dry farming all but 10% of the vines, and we're really, in every one of our vineyards, we're very focused on only giving a vine water if it needs it. So therefore we have a modified irrigation set in every vineyard so we can do that. Just another level of winemaking in the vineyard, so I don't have fruit that's 30 bricks coming in with fruit that's 22 and a half and calling that 25, which is not even our target. Our target's 23 too. So that's a little bit about the Old Mill Vineyard and what we're doing with our viticultural practices right now. So.
When did you start biodynamic practices here?
November of 2007 was when we started implementing biodynamic practices, and I would say we're still learning. Mostly because of the ranches being so small, we're implementing preparations, but I wouldn't call us a biodynamic system. We don't have a cow here at our office and so forth. But we do find that in tough years like this, we're seeing things in the vineyards that make it easier for us to do our job well with the use of biodynamic preps, and a lot of it being soil focused and what's happening in the soil, and using preparations for the health of the soil as well as the health of the vines. And so we'll continue. At this point, we have no reason to believe that it's a waste of time or money. And if it can help me not have to fertilize with synthetic products or man-made products in order to have my vines be healthy, which is what we've been able to drop since we've implemented it. We've done no additions other than compost and the different preparations to the canopy or the vineyard floor for nutrients, etc. And that, to me, is how you get to terroir in the glass. That's the expression of the vineyard in the glass is what we're after. Then that's how you do it. And if I can continue on that aspect of less inputs that are not natural, then I'm all behind biodynamics for that purpose. So.